Blount County Board of Commissioners meeting Monday, March the 18th. Ms. Karen Smith will do the invocation, and Mr. Greg Martin will lead the pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this gathering, and Father, as we prepare to go into this meeting this evening, we ask that you guide our leaders, and Father, just ask that you help them to make decisions that are pleasing to you, Father. And Father, we just ask that you grant your traveling mercies when we leave this place to deliver us safely back to our homes, our friends, our places of work, our families that love us so much, Father. And Father, we just ask that you have your guiding hand on this county and its people, Father, and to use each and every person in this county in a way that will glorify you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Karen, you come forward, please. Here's a little token that Colonel Simmons says in God we trust, and thank you.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very much for putting consent items. Mr. Britt made the motion, second by Mr. Gooden. Any discussion? There is a correction to be made. When, no item can be removed from the consent items by a single board member. It can be moved down on the agenda for discussion, but no single board member can move any item off the consent item. And Greg has updated, Greg, tell them what you
Mr. Chair, if I'm, and we've added wording at the bottom just to, if I may, Mr. Chair, not to, let me just kind of state it the way I understand it. A board member may,
Is this the place to talk about it?
I don't know,
I don't
this
think
just
we're
came up.
using
It's under discussion, yeah, we had consent items, it's discussion.
Okay, then good, I'll have another
A
question.
board member may remove an item from the consent agenda to be discussed further down in the agenda.
Okay.
That's,
Can I have the policy in writing as well?
well, you certainly may, but we actually have a statement at the bottom of each. If you have a detailed agenda, it's at the bottom of each item on the consent agenda. The specific wording, and we'll certainly share that.
Give me, send it to me, please, in writing.
It was in writing already, we just made a word
I don't
that's
have it.
clarified. I know, we'll provide it to you, yes, ma'am.
Is this something that we
Wait a
just,
minute, Mr. Bullock, you got something to say?
Yeah, I was asking, was that under the general statutes?
Yeah,
Well, it's in the, I know it's consistent with the board.
Just give me the general statute. I
Policies.
can look at it.
I got a copy in my truck, I'll make a copy for you, please.
Just give me the statute.
Mr. Cogdell.
no, the only reason I was asking that, because I know it has been over the period of time I've been on here, I have known that that's been the normal process, that it was occurred. So now you tell me that it's a different occurrence with this?
No, sir, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to read this statement. A consent agenda, a consent agenda includes several items for approval by the board in a single motion. Documentation concerning these items has been provided to all board members and the public in advance. Upon request by any one board member, any item listed under the consent agenda shall be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. What the only portion that has been added is, it said, after the word removed, it stopped with removed last time, and that's what, it meant removed from the consent agenda, but the word removed created some uncertainty as far
I
as
would
what
like
it
to see
meant.
what it was before you added something else.
That's what it is, that's,
I
I'm
want to see
gonna,
both.
We're gonna
so
give
that's
you
what
a
I want to
copy
be
of that.
clear on. The only words that were added was after the word removed
Right,
from the consent agenda and considered separately.
Okay.
And that was where I think the confusion took place last time.
not to me, because I was in
Well, I'm
passion
just-
discussing.
Yeah, I understand.
My question is, I want to make sure that we're doing this now to be in compliance with state regulations of the statute regulations? Is that
Well,
what we're
it's-
doing, or have we as a board decide to add that to it?
Nothing
What are we
has changed,
doing?
Mr., that's what I'm saying, Mr. Cogdill. This statement has been on our agendas as long as we've been, as
But to
long as.
remove the last ending part hasn't been on there.
I'm bringing over.
That's just for clarification, that doesn't change the.
I said, but had it been on there before?
No, that's what I'm saying, we just added that after last week for clarification.
Yeah,
Just to be sure we understood what the word consent.
You
I mean,
just
we're-
added it. So the whole time we've been having an agenda with consent items, like when I have pulled them before, I actually pulled them off and was incorrect. to pull
Mr.
them off.
Cardell, I
Does that make
stand,
sense?
I can correct you. I have, long as I've been chairman, we have never, like I told y'all last meeting, I've never removed an item off the agenda without board approval, the whole board. I've never had one person to remove anything other than last week. And the only reason I did that because Greg read that and I
And it stopped with the
there was a
word
little bit of doubt whether I knew what I was talking about, but I knew what I was talking about when I tried to tell y'all you couldn't remove it from the agenda.
Miss Peterson,
Cardell.
and I stand corrected on that. I have removed items myself from that consent, and I have spoken with Ms., don't tell me now.
And here's,
Don't tell me what I
here's,
said.
that make, Mr.
I
Chairman,
have done it.
No, sir.
I did it last year.
well, here's the thing.
Don't tell me I haven't done what I'm doing, y'all.
Here's the thing,
That's what I'm telling
at
you.
the point that this all is discussed, the actual agenda has not been adopted yet. So whatever you all agree to do prior to the actual vote on the consent agenda, which includes adoption of the agenda, then it's fine, because there's been no action to approve the agenda.
What?
The reason,
The- Item number 2 on the consent
All
agenda
in
is
favor
approval of
of
the agenda.
approving the consent item, say aye.
Hold on a
wait,
minute.
wait a minute,
Well,
y'all. Wait a minute, y'all.
no.
No, we
I have a
can't
question
move on
about
that.
that.
Item
Wait a minute.
3
Hold on.
matters of,
Hold on, wait a minute.
I'm moving on.
We made an
I'm
error
mo-
with, hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. We had an error.
No, discussion's over.
I asked those questions. I'm telling you, we
Discussion,
got
is-
an
you
error.
can talk under,
No,
interest
it's
of
an error that we
commissioners.
made last week that we want to vote for something for the minutes that was incorrect. I was gonna ask that correction.
No, we're not gonna correct it, we done it. It's on the agenda tonight.
You're not listening.
If you wanna talk about it, and I'm moving on
It's
at
not
this,
about that.
you
You're
can
missing the
talk
point.
under individual or delegation.
You're
of
not
interest of
listening,
commissioners.
Mr. Peterson. I'm just telling you, when we voted last week, we asked to remove it, but when you voted for the minutes for last week, you still have it on the agenda as approved action item, is what I'm telling you. So you correct on
I'm
the
good
minutes.
with that, I'm good with that,
Well, let's fix it.
I'm good with that. Matters of interest of commissioners,
I, just wanted to say that, looking at the dates for the Kelly Dyke special meeting tomorrow, I have unfortunately an unavoidable conflict. And I've tried to work some things out, but I'll not be able to attend that meeting tomorrow evening. But I look forward to attending any future meetings in regards to that.
I have a conflict also with that, I won't be able to.
okay? Okay? Daniel, got a conflict? Okay, Mr. Priest,
You going?
conflict? Okay, for the ones that can't attend, the agenda is at your desk. I was gonna, if any commissioner would like to speak, we need to sign up. If you'll listen, I'm just told you, and I'm not gonna listen too much more than dropping them. If you wanna sign up and speak at the public hearing tomorrow, please sign up. At the Tilly Dyke, please sign up. Cause the core is gonna be the main one speaking, and that'll be all speaking, but you're welcome to speak if you wanna sign up, please.
We still now into the commission. Mr. Martin, I remember the incidents on what I have pulled, and I would like to get those minutes brought back to this board. And I will call you and contact you so you can share them with the board to show when those consent items were pulled straight from there.
Okay.
And I will call you and let you know the items when they were pulled,
Okay.
so you can get that to the board, so that way get it correct.
I have a question. So it's not a county commissioners meeting, it is a,
Public meeting.
okay, because it doesn't say that, okay. All right.
Anyone else? Individuals/delegation wish to address the commissioner, Ms. Marie?
Yes, first person that signed in is Aaron Smith.
Ms. Aaron.
Yes,
If everybody come forward, Mr. Martin, you'll receive this, award, please. Mr. Martin?
Good evening. I'm here tonight on behalf of BladenOnline.com. We recently held a contest we called Bladen's Best of the Best, and our readers and you, the citizens of Bladen County, were able to vote on who you thought was the best employer, you know, the best hairstylist, and several other categories. And the winner for the best employer in our Bladen's Best of the Best contest, Greg Martin, was Bladen County for the best place to be employed. And so I want to present you with this certificate on behalf of BladenOnline.com and our readers.
Thank you so much, Aaron. That's a wonderful. This is a wonderful recognition. Bladen County is a wonderful place to be employed. It's made up of a great group of employees who serve the citizens well each and every day. I will say that it starts with a culture of support from the Board of County Commissioners in the employees' work and service to the citizens of the county. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rick,
Okay, Mr. Bowen?
Mr. Bowman?
Go to church and sing that song, it's me again, Lord. First thing I would like to know, does the county board follow Robert Rules of Order?
Yes, sir.
Why did you vote last?
I vote in every, I have to vote in everything that's brought to the board.
I thought the chair on the vote and.
No,
that's
the
what's tied.
practice of this board of commissioners is that the chairman votes.
Well, you're not following Robert Rules of Order then?
Mr. Martin?
It's not Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order is intended really for larger assemblies. The County Commissioners Association has rules of procedures, recommended rules of procedures. The Board of County Commissioners has its specific rules that mirror the state recommendations, and so it follows its own rules of procedure. And the chairman does vote in each and every matter.
Should, have he always voted in each matter?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm here again about the Beavers.
Okay.
I don't think that we did the Beavers justice last week in the vote. I think we need to bring that, put that back to the table. And I think the motion was made to do it in the July. And the next July is when you would have some money by July. If you don't, you need to shut down. Let's quit taking our money. It's real simple, man. We've been battling this thing on and on since 2014, religiously, in Bladen County. In 2008, you realize you have a problem. You was gonna do something about it, and ain't done nothing. I know you're tired of hearing it, but look like you get tired of hearing it and do something.
Amen. That's right.
You're welcome to come anytime you want to, Mr.
I'm gonna be here to every time,
Thank you, sir.
and I'm gonna plan on bringing a bus load.
Okay, we'll move upstairs if we need to. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Anyone else?
Ms. Lillian Graham?
Is that all right if I sit down?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Peterson, Chair, to our commissioners, to our fine leaders, all from all over the county and citizens at large. I'm here on behalf of all the citizens of Bladen County. I am from East Arcadia, but it's not just an East Arcadia problem we're talking about. We're talking about a Bladen County problem. It's not, when the last hurricane came, it wasn't just East Arcadia. We were spared by a lot of the stuff in other communities. With the flooding, bad flooding that happened elsewhere. But it was my understanding that Dublin had some, Bladenboro had an awful lot. And I've worked in every community in this county as an educator. I love all of the citizens of this county. No enemies that I know anything about. Nobody that I hate. But I know that we do have a problem with drainage. Now, when you realize you've got a problem, I've always been taught that when we recognize that we have a problem, we do something about it. And I'm pleading with you all. You see, if the drainage is bad, the water table is almost to the top of the ground in a lot of areas. Then, when it rains, there's nowhere for that water to go. The water table is meeting the top of the ground. So, what we do as citizens is lower the water table through ditching or some other means. Our main problem in Bladen County, as I see it and understand it, is the beaver. The beavers have built dams all over Bladen County. And until we can do something about this, we're going to continue to have problems. We're having disaster after disaster, but we are creating some of it. Because there are some things that we can do. We can make sure that we have done all that is within our power. And I'm pleading with you. I'm not angry with anybody. I'm not angry about your vote. Everybody has a right to vote his conscience. I understand that. You have a right to represent your citizens. I understand that. But I'm talking about all of the citizens of Bladen County. Not just East Arcadia, but all of the citizens of Bladen County are being faced with the same problem. And I'm asking you as gingerly and tenderly as I know how, are you willing to do something about it? You say it's expensive. How precious is a life? What is a life worth? If it's in my family, it's worth a heck of a lot to me. And if it's, I think all of Bladen County is family. I mean, that's the way I look at it. We're all in this together. So I'm pleading with you to take some of the funds that are given to you and see can we lower the water table in Bladen County so that just a regular heavy rain won't flood us out. This is my plea, and I hope that you will consider in the same attitude that it's given, with love and prayer for the citizens of Bladen County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
Mr. Eddie Knight.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, first off, I'd like to introduce Assistant Fire Chief Chris Nepper from the Tar Heel Fire Department, Board Director member of the Tar Heel Fire Department, Adam Russ. This is the Fire Chief, David Hunsinger. He's been there, 13 years as Fire Chief. And I'm Eddie Knight. I represent the Fire District Commissioners. I'm the chairman, which you commissioners appointed me to that. What we're here tonight to talk about is the Tar Heel Fire District, fire protection in our district. We want to, in a nutshell, condense everything, we want to raise our fire district tax rate. It's now .065, we want to go to 0.010, which will give us about 3.5 cents per $100 in value to the, in additional revenues. What that means is, in a nutshell too, is if somebody has $100,000 of tax liability in a fire district, they'll go up $35 more on the year. If they have a $200,000 tax liability, it'll be $70, and the math goes on. But what we're facing at Tar Heel in our fire district, we've been talking about for 2 or 3 years. What we're going to do, especially with daytime calls, is putting a lot of stress on our volunteers, a lot of stress. We had a community meeting back in February. We announced to the area churches, they sent spokesmen and personnel from those churches. We put it on social media. with our posters. We had a lot of input from our community. We told them where we've been, where we're at now, and where we want to go with our fire district protection there. We had overwhelming support from those that attended. We had a good turnout. We've been very transparent with this. We feel like it's time, but it's come. We had a call out last week. It just so happened that a fireman from the Tarleton Fire Department was there. He answered the call for Tar Heel with another member, and we made the call. But we don't want our fire district protection to go down. We don't want our homeowner rates to go up on our insurance premium. Right now, we're 7 rating. If we're gonna do something, we're gonna go to a 9. It's my understanding we possibly could even lose the fire department if we don't answer. If we fail to answer, 4 calls? 4 calls. If we have a.
Structural fires.
Yeah, 4 calls per ambulance. So we need to do something, and like I said, we talked to our community citizens. We've had good support for it. We feel like it's time to come, it's the time to move forward with it, and we want to submit this to the budget form to you with the next budget cycle in July. So we're down here tonight to let you know that's what we want to do. We feel like it's a good thing to do, and we want to move forward with it, so. By the way, I called, if we go from a 7 to a 9, I called the insurance commissioner's office in Raleigh, and he said every homeowner that pays an insurance premium will have a substantial increase if we move from a 7 back to a 9. I called my individual agent, and my insurance would go up about $600 a year. So if we don't do something along this line, we're gonna be having less protection, and it's gonna cost us more in the long run. If we move to put 2 full-time employees at the fire department, that's what we wanna do with this additional funds. We wanna put 2 full-time people, mostly to man the daytime shift. We have, like I said, we have a good fire department. The members are all dedicated. A lot of them work daytime jobs, unfortunately for us, and the others work night shifts, so it's kind of difficult. And we put them under a lot of stress, and like I said, it's something we've been talking about for quite a while, and we just feel that that's what we want to do. And in addition to that, Chief Hunsinger would have time to do some recruitment. We only have 5 members in the district right now that are actually with the fire department. We've recruited from outside to man the fire department. We feel like we need to have recruiting stations in place. We can work with the schools, work with individual homeowners and fire protection. We just do a lot of things on the plus side of this additional funds. And it's gonna amount to about $80,000 per year. We'll have enough to pay our bills, still send some money down here for that cash reserve in case we have a big budget item that we need an engine to blow or something like that. So,
What was your going, your rate is exactly what now?
is 0.065,
And it's going to?
0.010.
Thank you.
You increasing it
Yes,
10.
right. Yes, ma'am.
So it'd be .075, the new rate.
No, it will be 0.010.
Current rate is 0.65.
Yeah.
Oh, 0.65, okay.
We'll take care of that during the budget time.
Okay, we want you to get blindsided by it, we submit it down here, we'll bring the budget to you. Hopefully the time still see.
Thank y'all for what you do.
That's great.
Mr. Pearson, I went to a cookout they had at the Tar Heel Fire Department, and Chief and Sister Pearson wanted to go show me some items that they were concerned about inside the building. And we went to some bathrooms that were really leaking, rust, the walls are cracked. I mean, go on with it, and they had a problem too with communications with the other fire departments because of the lines were not sufficient to make the calls. Remember that? And they're real concerned. They do have a problem. The rust on the walls would have cracked over the years, couple, 3 years. They did some, but then they came back and got back like it was to start with. So they do have a problem.
We'll take care of it during budget time.
One other thing we'd like to do, Mr. Martin got an award, but I'd just like to say that his department in the county tax office worked really well. We've got good support from them and information quickly, and above all else, was very courteous. So we thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Finance Department, Ms. Lisa Coleman.
Good evening, please, Judge. I'd like to review the dashboard for the month of February 2019 at 67% of the year. We have collected revenues from the general fund of 63.72%. Expenditures, we've spent 56.42%. And solid waste, we've collected 80.08% and spent 68.36%. Emergency telephone, we've collected 37.08% and spent 47.82%. And water, we've collected 68.78% and spent 39.82%. Have any questions with that?
Any questions, Ms. Coleman?
Mr. Chairman,
Bull?
I don't have a question on that, but what does the fiscal forecast look like for 2019? Are we, do we have an abundant supply of funds, or where we at with that?
Right now, by my projections, and I've discussed it with Mr. Martin, based on the capital things that we've requested this year and the anticipation of not getting FEMA money before June 30th, we will probably use some fund balance.
Use what now?
Fund balance.
Okay.
Exactly how much at this point, we're not real sure. We're kind of watching it as it goes. We had a lot of capital items in this year's budget that we used capital money for. And plus, the fact is that we haven't received anything back from FEMA, and we're working on them trying to get all the damage inventory and everything straightened up. And if it takes as long as it has in the past, it might be next year before we get next fiscal year. We'll get
So
the money.
you're looking at fund balance?
Could I ask a question? On the capital outlay, we appropriated money for that capital outlay last year. We didn't do enough sufficient funding to handle all
We
the
used it from fund balance. We
We didn't appropriate enough to handle the capital outlays that came.
The funding for the capital came from fund balance, because instead of financing some of the projects, we went ahead and used it from our fund balance, because the interest we were earning was less than what we would be paying.
Mr. Martin will be giving us an overview very shortly.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it Thursday.
That's what I was wondering.
Okay.
Thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Health and Human Services, Ms. Terry Duncan. A is consider approving the Nutrition Plus contractual agreement.
So this is asking to increase the number of days for nutritionists on the site to counsel patients for our WIC services. The increase in the contract will not create a hardship in funds from the state.
Motion by Dr. Ophir, Montgomery, second by Ms. Trivett. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item D.
This is asking for your approval for the North Carolina Community Care Networks participation agreement. The current participation agreement expired 12/31/18. However, the particular agreement was not received until February the 11th. We explained to the CNC our process for contracts, which includes coming here, and received approval for the delay as they were too late getting the contract to us.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Dr. Ophir, Montgomery. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item C.
First one is approving an independent contractor agreement in the amount of $23,386 for a home modification and ramp construction project. This home modification is for a child beneficiary receiving the CAP. Parents can request a one-time allocation up to $28,000 during a 5-year project. This project has been approved by DMA, and all federal funded Medicaid project guidelines have been followed.
Motion by Ms. Trivett, second by
Second.
Mr. Gooden. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item D.
This is for approval of local health department records retention and disposition schedule. The retention schedule identifies the timeframes in which medical records are kept, when and how they can be destroyed. It also includes the EODs, receipts, super bills, and requests for records, and et cetera.
What's the pleasure of the board? Motion by Dr. Ophir, Montgomery, second by Ms. Trivett. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And finally, requesting approval for fiscal year 2020 consolidated agreement with the North Carolina Health and Human Services. The annual consolidated contract with state that spells out what Blaine County Health Department and state requirements are in order to receive state funding.
Motion
Motion by
approved.
Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Thank you, Ms. Duncan. Item 7 is Department of Social Service. Ms. Jill Sampson.
Good evening. I wish to present to you the CCPT end of year report. This will be for 17-18. Our board reviewed 8 cases for that year. One was from 2016, which was a child fatality. We did review that in the beginning of January, so we included it in that number. We did have, according to the report that you may look at, it may reflect that we reviewed 9 cases, but in fact, one of those cases was for both abuse and neglect. So it was a total of 8 cases. The most often calls of a child being unsafe in our county showed to be improper discipline by a caretaker, child sexual abuse by a caretaker, and also improper supervision by a caretaker. We did have some team accomplishments, as always. We do have a strong team. We have an increased collaboration between our law enforcement agency and also the district attorney's office and with the social workers as well.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Oh, motion to approve.
It's not action on it.
I didn't think
Correct.
that. I didn't think that was information.
Just review. Thank you, Ms. Jill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 8, Sheriff's Office, Ms. Jim Baker, consider approval of memorandum of license.
She got another.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh,
in your packet, you'll also find the annual report from the Bladen County Child Fatality Prevention Team.
my gentleman.
This report gives an overview of the cases presented to the team, team recommendations, and team activities and accomplishments.
Oh, yes. This handout?
Yes, ma'am.
I found the agenda,
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
information.
The child protection team and the child fatality team work together. And as a reminder, the child death information is forwarded to the fatality coordinator from Raleigh 1 year after the child's death. So the information is always reviewed by the team 1 year following the death. We had 7 child fatalities in 2017. Review summaries of each one of those fatalities are listed on your report. They were forwarded to the state fatality coordinator. 2 were premature births, 1 was an infant, 1 was due to a medical condition, and 3 were due to accidents. After review, the recommendations were made by the team to feature safety information on the health department's website and Facebook page, and also on Bladen Online. I'm working with Mary Ann Valentiner and Deborah Connor to ensure the safety information is presented to the public. Under activities and accomplishments, Vicki Smith, Jill Sampson, and I attended the first Child Fatality Summit in Raleigh on April 9th and 10th of last year. Information from the summit was shared with the Child Fatality Prevention Team, and as a result, the team is working diligently to implement a life jacket share board at White Lake. Any questions?
Thank you.
You said, Mike?
Item 8, Sheriff's Department. Consider approving memorandum of license agreement between Blaine County Sheriff's Office and Bobby Algot, Dennis Scott for the period March 1st, 2019 to February 28th, 22.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Good, second by Ms. Trivett. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
These are this is to house those machines that you have confiscated.
Evidence.
Yes. Can they be housed in the old county jail?
No, sir.
Why is
I
that?
talked to Mr. Mormad earlier, because of the climate control, getting them upstairs. We're talking about over 200 pieces of evidence. And we weighed all those options. When you talk about the Board of Election, where we used to be, that was not a good idea. Time was running short. ALE was involved in this operation. It was my obligation to store, and, I did what I thought I had to do.
Okay, I was gonna ask a question because, she mentioned earlier that we're currently operating on fund balances, so I was
Yes.
hoping that we could,
Yes.
save some funding by putting them in the jail.
Yes, sir. Well, this is being paid for by April Sheriff. That can only be used by the sheriff's office.
So it's not an expense
I'm
to the
I'm not
county.
asking any money from the county commission.
I thought it was a expense to us.
No, sir.
Dr. Montgomery?
No, he answered, I was gonna.
Okay.
Dr.
Doctor?
On the storing of the machines and with the time frame of the contract, is it based on the court telling you or requiring for them to be there 3 years? I'm trying to figure out why is it such a lengthy
Yes.
lease agreement on,
Well, first of all, I never said it was machines. I said it was evidence.
or evidence, whatever, there are other.
And we have evidence, similar to this, that we've had 3.5 years. In connexes that are ruined. If we were ordered by the court to return the owner, we would be paying for them, or they're ruined.
The reason I was asking, and I'm trying to think, and I was looking at, I know we get ready to acquire some acquisition on some other stuff that we looking at doing, and I'm quite sure that it hasn't come to fruition at this point. But I'm saying, is it logistic wise, is it that difficult to store these things, or this
Yeah.
evidence?
Well, if we store evidence, it's my obligation, it's my duty to protect that evidence. And I know what you're talking about, a building. If we did that, we'd have to go in and build an infrastructure because of evidence that we're talking about. Nobody can have access to it but us.
Okay, and the reason I look at that structure you were talking about, I've been into it, and I know some of the dynamics of the building structure.
Right.
And I was trying to figure out, would that accommodate where you were gonna put it? I just asked the
If we went inside and built an evidence room, it would, but I want you to understand, we had 4 days to find a place to store this evidence. We had 4 days. I didn't know about this other place you were talking about. I didn't know the county was looking at that.
Okay,
We
so
should make a decision.
so they're presently at the site where you wish to have them stored at?
We have them stored.
They're present at the same site?
We have them stored. It's evidence.
Okay.
It's, you know, the way I look at this here, if you look at the back of this memorandum, the county doesn't even have to sign off on it. I think it brought to us basically on just make us aware that there was gonna be a memorandum. And you know, the sheriff is elected official and he's not using no local tax dollars, and we'll let the citizens hold our sheriff accountable if whatever he chooses to do. It's his decision. It's not this board of commissioners to micromanage the sheriff department.
No, I wasn't inquiring about your
I
decision.
understand.
You in charge of your department,
I
that's your
understand,
job.
yes, sir.
The only thing I was saying was through the acquisition of something else, if it was a future need for something, I was trying to figure out what would be the avenue, because it's still gonna cost to
I
balance the
understand.
water.
And if we had the time to go in and build a secure location within this place you're talking about, we could use it in the future. But I want you to understand, I didn't have any time to do all that.
Okay, that's what I was just looking at. Go.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Advisory board appointees, first one is Division of Aging.
That's one of the biggest ones going.
Okay, Mr. Cardell nominates Dr. Oldfield Mungo. Is there a second?
That's on Vision 8.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The child fatality team, they want, we've been asked to add Monique, I've lost my notes. Therese. What's the pleasure of the board?
Was that the information coming from the director of this?
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Keep Layton Beautiful, we need to change those 2 dates, and we need to, here it is. We need to change the 2 dates on Carol P. Kinlaw and Shane Freeman, and we need to, Tracy Smith, we need to, reappoint her. What's the pleasure of the board?
Ripple.
Motion by me, Mr. Gooden, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Lumber River Regional Aging Advisory Council, Ms. Erin Henson has resigned.
Which one is that?
Do we have anyone?
I would suggest Terry Duncan go on it.
That's one of them,
So, is there a motion to
I'll
entertain
second
that?
I'll make a motion, this go. That's
Dr. Thielman made the motion for Terry Duncan to go on, and, Mr. Brett seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item 10 is board appointments for consideration during April 15th. Blamer Rural Fire Department, Katy River Assembly, Culvers Creek Fire Service, Elizabeth Town Fire Service. Please, talk to the fire chiefs. Mr. Greg Martin, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to review the calendar with you for the months of March and April. And Mr. Chairman, if it's all right with the board members, I'll just kind of focus on the non-routine type, rather than go over the board meetings that happen so frequently. I'll just kind of hit the non-routine items. I do want to point out tomorrow, the 19th, at 9:30 a.m., there's an opioids and naloxone training that will be held in the Powell Melvin Building. That's sponsored by East Point. Also, tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., the special meeting regarding the Kelly Dyke will be held at Centerville Baptist Church. At 2 p.m. on Wednesday, Congressman David Rouser will have a meeting at the Terminal Building here at the airport. At 10 a.m. on the 21st, there's a special meeting of the Board of Commissioners that also will be held at the Airport Terminal Building. On the 26th at 5 p.m., the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners District Meeting will be held at the Cape Fear Winery here in Elizabethtown. On the 28th at 7 p.m., the MCAB meeting will be held in Tar Heel at Love Grove Baptist Church. On Friday and Saturday, the 27th and 28th, or 29th and 30th, I'm sorry, the 27th annual Old Fashioned Planners Day event will take place near Garland. Also, on the evening of the 29th at 6 p.m., the Southeastern Community and Family Services Awards Banquet will be held in Red Springs. Moving over to,
Mr. Martin, can you
Yes.
go, on the 19th, he said it was a public hearing, not just a special meeting. It might like our meeting. It's a public hearing.
it's a community, yes ma'am, a community meeting. Just because of potential for a majority of board members there was, yeah.
Thank you.
Moving over to April, just non-routine type things. On Tuesday, the 2nd at 12 p.m., the Economic Development Commission meeting will take place. Also that evening at 6 p.m., the North Carolina Southeast Annual Meeting will be held at UNC Pembroke. On Friday, the 5th at 7 p.m., the Blade and Care Gala will take place at Cape Fear Winery. And on Saturday, the 6th at 10 a.m., the Bladenboro Spring Fling will take place. The opioid meeting will be on the 9th at 2 p.m. On Thursday, the 11th at 7 p.m., the Bladen County Fire Association meeting will be held here in Elizabethtown at the fire department. Offices will be closed on the 19th in observance of the Easter holiday, and that's Good Friday. And on the 27th, from 11 a.m. until 11 p.m., the Bladen County Relay for Life event will take place at the Elizabethtown Middle School. If there are no questions regarding the calendar, moving to item B. We have presented for your consideration a recommended agreement with Addiction Consulting and Training Association, and this is, or Associates, I'm sorry, and this is to develop a comprehensive plan related to the opioid working group. And the total cost is not to exceed $99,918.65.
Can I ask one question on that? Mr. Beason, I know you're working closely with that open ACT. Is the hiring of the personnel gonna be housed through that group, or it's gonna be through this contractor?
The only people gonna be hired is this group right here.
The contractor.
And a part-time, and they'll be hired through there's a steering committee on the opioid task force that, will probably do the interviewing on that one person, part-time.
The part-time person.
And they'll be, local, physical,
What, the part-time? Part-time be local, we hope.
Blaine County.
What's the pleasure, board? Motion by Mr. Brett, second by Ms. Trivett. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Item 12 is individual delegation wish to address the commission.
I don't have one. two things. The first thing, I would ask that we consider for another agenda to add the beaver or the hiring of that individual to take care of these beavers or deal with the issues of the beavers here in Blaine County for the next board meeting. Second, Mr. Chair, I'd ask that, sometimes, we're here as, commissioners at the pleasure of the citizens of Blaine County, and ask that sometimes we understand that we have personal issues and concerns, but ask that all board members show respect to all and do not act as we are dictators, because we're not. Please let us be mindful that we're all here, here to serve the citizens of Blaine, and we must be respectful to all members, regardless of our agree or disagree, but let's agree to respect one another. Period.
Your third one is?
And the third one is, if you get, well, I think you gave it. I want to update on the election, and the funding for the county, but I guess we can do that on Thursday at our retreat. Because that's an issue, I haven't heard anything about the county, what would happen for the new election.
For the special election?
Yes,
Yes,
for
ma'am, we'll be
special
glad to provide information.
For Thursday, okay, thank you.
Could I ask one question to Mr. Lawton? All right, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
On the, I spoke briefly with Mr. Martin when he called and spoke about the beaver. And we had a couple of options to consider when we were looking at that. Have we taken all options off the table until budget time, or we will look at any option? That's the question I'm asking. All of them off the table?
There's nothing off the table.
Okay, but the
It
reason
was
I
a
was asking.
recommendation of the manager that we wait and look at get a first look at the budget before we make decisions.
Okay, but no, the reason I was looking, we was talking about the bounty program, and I was looking at that one, it was not where it was bounding with a cost factor
Yep.
to be so rigid and a reoccurring cost on the bounty project. And I was saying, if we look at not waiting another 4 months and go ahead with the bounty project, that is one that's generated based on the production that they were getting. That's the one the guy did at the retreat, where he said that was based on hiring someone to come in and they collect carcass. And at $40 a carcass, I don't see why we couldn't go ahead in 4 months and at least invest that into the beaver effort, and then look at the reoccurring costs that would be involved with a fixed salary for someone. That's the only thing I was looking at. If we looked at it from that perspective, that we could just target that thing, do something to deal with it at this point. And in 4 months, when the budget time comes, we would then weigh out the reoccurring costs, because that's the one that Mr. Martin has the most concern about, is the reoccurring costs. And we can end the bounty project in time to get ready.
No, we can't, because we got to have a person that's gonna man this bounty program that Mr. Morris talked about, that he hoped the state's gonna implement, and we don't know if they're gonna implement that position yet or not. So if they don't implement that position, there's got to be an employee hired to manage this bounty program.
Well, I was thinking, I understand, but when he made that thing, he said he had people that was in Columbus County that he could get to work, that would come in and collect carcasses at $40 a beaver. I was trying to figure out this option.
I'm not arguing about $40, I'm arguing about the cost. We don't know what the cost is gonna be on the bounty program until we know what the state does with that man to manage this bounty
Well, I'd
program.
like us to get
There's
something
a lot
back.
of things we don't know yet.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to follow up with Dean. And
That's all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a closer look at that, because if we can provide at least that service, let's provide that to them. At least doing something right there.
What you referring to, that the information you're gonna give me at the airport when we have our special meeting?
When will you go and get that to us, Mr. Martin?
I'll do my best. I'll
He'll try to, but the agenda's already packed.
Yeah, this beavers, it won't take that long to talk about. I'd like to add that to the beavers.
Mr. Martin will add it if you can.
Add that to the project if you would, at the conference.
All right. Anything else? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Good, second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Adjourn.